Mair. I'm the Solidarity candidate for Mid-Scotland and Fife, that includes Perth. I'm a socialist, I'm an activist, and I campaign for Palestine in my spare time when I'm not running for MSP. I think it's very important to be engaged in politics and aware. And nowadays, I think more people than ever are engaged, more people than ever know about politics because of the internet, because of social media, but also because of the independence referendum that we had. And it really woke up Scotland, it really engaged people. And by the way, you should have your poll card by now, your voting card, and if you haven't got it, you need to get in touch with the council immediately. Now, you don't need the poll card to vote, but if you've not got your poll card, you're not on the register. So you've got until the 18th of April. Yes, I am. I'm registered to vote, and because I'm standing in Mid-Scotland and Fife, that's where my vote will be cast as well. That's where I live. I live in Trident in Kilcuddy. So yeah, I'm standing on the regional seat. The NHS in Scotland, I think we're really lucky. It's the envy of the world. The British NHS, as started after the Second World War with Bevan and these guys, used to be the envy of the world, but it's been nibbled away at by the rats of privatisation south of the border. So far up here in Scotland, the Scottish Government, I have to say, to give them credit, I'm not an SNP man, have kept the NHS safe. My wife suffers from rheumatoid arthritis. It's a chronic condition. It doesn't go away. It just stays there and flares up now and again. So I'm very grateful for the care that she's had from the NHS over the years. And also, of course, we get free prescriptions in this country, in Scotland, and also in Wales, but not in England. Now that's good, but it's only half the story. Free prescriptions is great because you shouldn't have to pay if you're ill. But we also need the other side of that coin, which is fair taxation. If everybody's getting prescriptions for free, then we should be taxing the rich to pay for it. But anyway, let's look on the bright side. Free prescriptions, free eye tests, an excellent NHS which is part of the state system, can't go wrong. This is a problem all over the country, and part of the problem, part of the reason why shops are empty in town centres and city centres. I live in Dysart near Kilcuddy, we're here in Perth, and you walk along high streets and you see either empty shop units or charity shops. One or two charity shops is fine, but what's happening is they're starting to take over. There are no real shops, if you like, and all the real shops that you want to go and buy stuff in, they're in out-of-town shopping centres. Why is this? One of the main reasons is town centre and city centre parking, which you pay a fortune for. Okay, it's not too bad here in Perth, I think it's about £1 an hour, but still, if you go up to an out-of-town shopping centre, it's completely free. And it's like a wee high street, all in the one, you've got everything there that you want. So what do we need to do about this? You see, the councils need to generate money. So it makes no difference to them if a shop is open or closed or sold or vacant, or if it belongs to anybody, or if it's a charity shop or not. What I mean is, it doesn't matter to Perth City, Perth and Kinross Council, whether a shop is paying business rates or not, because all the business rates go to Holyrood. They don't go to the council. So imagine if the Perth and Kinross Council, or Fife Council, or Clackmannanshire Council, or Stirling Council, if they got every single penny of business rates from all the shops in their high streets, imagine what they would do. All of a sudden they'd wake up, they'd say, oh right, what do we need to do? Immediately they'd scrap the parking charges immediately, overnight, because they would say to themselves, what we're going to lose in parking charges, we're going to gain when we fill up every shop unit along this high street, every single one. We're going to have a bustling high street. People are going to vote for us. People are going to be happy. It's going to be an absolute utopia. This is what we need to do. Free parking in our town and city centres, and the way we achieve that is we give back business rates to the councils, to the city councils, to the regional councils. Within the Scottish service tax I just spoke about, there's a proposal Because our Scottish service tax will be set centrally and administered by the Inland Revenue as a compensation to local councils, because we don't want you to feel that we're centralising power, we will say, look, as part of that, we will give back to you your business tax. And this would have the fantastic benefit for ordinary people of making your high streets great again, opening up all your shops, and people will be thronging down the high street on a Saturday to their shopping, be the social centres that they used to be when I was a boy. So that's what we need to do. We need to revive our town and city centres by taking away parking charges and giving the business rates back to councils. And Solidarity promises to do that. Our greatest threat is capitalism and greed. I was going to say crapitalism there, but that's quite good. Crapitalism, craspitalism, it's capitalism and greed. And Trident cannot defend us against capitalism. Trident is part of the problem. At one point it was £167 billion it was going to cost, then it was 183. It's like the cost of the Scottish Parliament building it, it just keeps going up and up. But our greatest threat is when governments put profits before people. Socialism puts people before profit. That's the difference between capitalism and socialism. So when people say that we need Trident to defend ourselves against the greatest threat is the Soviet Union or the ex-Soviet Union or terrorism, complete nonsense. Listen, Trident, a nuclear weapon, is a weapon you can never use. It costs billions of pounds. And even if you think that terrorism is our greatest threat, here's my suggested solution to terrorism. It's not Trident, it's not a nuclear weapon, because that's completely pointless. If I'm a terrorist, a single lone wolf, or there's half a dozen of me in my group, and we're terrorists in this country, how is a nuclear weapon going to stop me? It's not. But there is something we can do about terrorism, and that is we can stop interfering, we can stop meddling, we can stop invading, we can stop bombing innocent countries. We've been doing it for years. Tony Blair famously illegally invaded Iraq in 2003. Donald Rumsfeld stood up and said, we're going to bomb that country back to the Stone Age. Well, guess what? We did. And now we're reaping the whirlwind of the chaos that we caused out there. We caused Al-Qaeda, we caused ISIS. I suspect we're actually funding them under the radar as well. But one thing is a fact, one thing is not conspiracy theory, and one thing you cannot argue with. Our incessant meddling in the Middle East has caused Daesh, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. So that's how you defeat terrorism. Terrorism is not a great enemy, capitalism is, because capitalism causes terrorism. Solidarity is an unashamedly socialist party. We don't pander to the middle class and the wealthy. We don't take a single penny from big corporations. The ethos of solidarity, the aim of solidarity, is to make the poor richer and the rich poorer. Our Scottish service tax, I'll mention it again because it's a perfect example. Usually when you hear policies from political parties, they've done triangulation. They're trying to include as many people as they can in what they're saying in order to attract the maximum number of votes. But guys, get this, here's a secret. This comes right at the end of this interview, so if you're still listening, here's a secret. Hold on to this and don't forget it. There are more poor people than rich people. There always have been. That's the way the system works. Capitalism depends upon exploiting thousands of poor people to make one rich person. Okay? That's the way it works. And yet, rich or poor, you've got one vote. One man, one woman, one vote. You've got one vote. So here's what I'm saying to you. I'm not rich, I'm working class, and I'm addressing you if you're working class. If you're rich, I don't really care. Brian Suter, I'm not really interested. You can vote for me if you want, but I'm not targeting you. I'm targeting those people who are disabled, those people who are poor, those people on zero-hour contracts, those people who are unemployed. I'm targeting everyone that capitalism is leaving behind. What we need to do is we stop squabbling amongst ourselves. We stop worrying about, are there too many refugees? Are there too many migrants? Are we paying too much in PIP payments for people with disabilities? The answer to all of that is no. There are not too many refugees. No, we're not spending too much on people with disabilities. No, we're not spending too much on the welfare state. Refugees, people with disabilities, people of different sexuality, people of different gender, none of these people are the enemy of the working class. The enemy of the working class is the ruling class. It's the rich, it's the millionaires, and it's the politicians who collude with them. Now, instead of squabbling amongst ourselves, we focus our rage and our indignation on the ruling classes. And we say, hey, listen, We're not having this. We're all voting socialism. All of us. And you rich, if you're going to threaten to leave the country, leave the country. Oh, if you bring in a socialist government, I'll leave the country. Well, that's fine, because you know what? The rich don't pay taxes, so there's no loss to us. They've got their little schemes, they've got their little scams. If the rich want to bolt, then the rich can bolt, okay? So here's a message. Vote Solidarity, because we do not care about anything except the working class. And the working class man here in Perth has just as much in common with a refugee, a working class refugee from Syria or from Bangladesh or from Pakistan, Afghanistan, than he does with the working class man in Kirkcaldy. But we have nothing in common with the bloated, rich plutocrats, the Brian Souters, the Anne Globes, the Eric Schmidts, the CEO of Google. We've got nothing in common with these people, and we've got nothing in common with the scum who are the mainstream politicians who collude, George Osborne and these people, who collude and pretend to go chasing tax avoidance. Just in the last couple of days we've heard about this release of documents from Panama, the big tax haven in Panama, where David Cameron, who pretends that he wants to stop tax evasion and tax avoidance, he's involved in this, his father's involved in this. They've got money in these tax havens. Solidarity does not take one single penny from big corporations. The Labour Party, the SNP, the Lib Dems, the Conservatives. All these parties take money from big corporations. So all these parties are slaves to the big corporations. Solidarity is a small party, we're independent, we're fiercely independent, and we fight for the working class because we despise the ruling class, we despise wealth, we despise inequality. That's why I'm asking you, vote Solidarity for a socialist government in Scotland. Nicola, you've recently unveiled your plans to reform council tax after the Commission on Local Council Tax Reform reported to the Scottish Parliament. And as I understand the details of it, you're going to raise £100 million from one aspect of it and £70 million from another aspect of it. That adds up to £170 million. Now, we all agree that the hated council tax is regressive and unfair and it needs to be reformed. We know that. But as I understand it as well, Nicola, councils across Scotland are facing a £350 million budget shortfall, a deficit. Your solution is to come up with another £170 million. Now, I'm not going to patronise you by pointing out the error in your calculations, because I don't think you're that stupid. And I'm sure John Swinney is even better at arithmetic than you are. On the other hand, Nicola, you know that you've had on your desk for many years, since 2006 on the desk of Alex Salmond, your predecessor, and it's still sitting on your desk, the Scottish Service Tax Proposal, Tommy Sheridan's Scottish Service Tax Proposal, where we propose in Solidarity, we propose that we would scrap the council tax altogether, replace it with an income tax alternative. We would tax the wealthy a lot more, we would tax the poor not at all, and most people in the middle would pay less or the same as they're paying now. And yet, according to the white paper figures back in 2006, our Scottish Service Tax Proposal would raise £505 million more. Update that, through whatever calculation you like, to today's figures, and guess what? It's £735 million. So Nicola, our proposal would raise 4 times what your proposal would raise. I'm standing here in Perth with my friend Darryl here, and we're thinking about Kinfauns Castle, owned by Anne Gloag. She makes millions of pounds every year. And do you know how much more council tax she pays than I do? I pay £772 on my Band A 2-bedroom flat. Band A. She's in a Band H property. She pays 3 times what I pay. That's all. It's an unfair, regressive tax. You had the opportunity to change it. You had a template, you had a blueprint in front of you, Nicola. And you failed to take that opportunity. I'm very disappointed. And all you've done is tinker around the edges. Nicola, you could have done better.